Okay,
Yes.
now we are live again.
Okay.
Hello, everybody, and sorry for the
Everybody,
interruption.
hi back to the streams. Sorry for the technical problems. Christoph had a muted mic or something. So we're back. We were talking about how the LCCC was doing, where we are now, and back to you, Christoph. Please continue.
Yeah, we just had talked about the current projects partners. As I said, Lemonade is coordinating the whole stuff. Then we have Puller for the actuarial product, Etheris for the whole technical infrastructure, and then one partner which is not part of the Lemonade Crypto Climate Coalition but also important is ContaniPay, which provides the link between the local mobile payment system M-Pesa and the blockchain. And so these four partners are the main drivers of the current project. And but we have discussed with at SmartCon in New York, we have discussed with Hannover Re how we can also scale the product economically. So currently we need to collateralize all the every single policy. So for each sum insured, we need a full collateral, and this is in the long run, it's economically not very efficient.
Yeah.
And Hannover Re is really willing to go also uncharted, to enter uncharted territory to provide capacity for a blockchain-based product. And so we're very interested how this will work out. It's legally not really easy, because a blockchain-based product where the financial transfers happening on blockchain is still unknown. It's not. We also we call it not insurance but protection in Kenya to avoid any regulatory issues. And
Legal implications.
so there are still a lot of legal challenges to solve, but together with one of the largest reinsurers in the world, we are pretty confident that we will find a way to solve this.
Sorry, I have to switch my screen because also I have some problems with my light, as you can see. Give me 1 second. Today is a bad day for video stream.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Alrighty. I'm sitting in the dark. Okay. So I have a question. You mentioned that Etheris is providing the on-ramp, off-ramp solution for the LCCC. What do we learn? What did you learn? What did our developer team learn for future projects, for example, for maybe flight delay insurance? So what are your takeaways? I mean, what we're doing now with the LCCC is kind of uncharted land, and this is very unique what we're doing. So there must be a lot of takeaways for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as I said, the key is usability. If you want to onboard a few thousand or even millions of users, then you need to put your focus on usability. And also, as mentioned before, one of the key problems here is how can people who have no knowledge of blockchain interact with blockchain, and the entry point of every interaction with blockchain is your private public keys, and this is a big problem. So in Africa we solve this with our partner who provides the infrastructure to connect the traditional mobile money system with blockchain. And so our efforts in the future will go in the direction to make this still more easy to handle, and so people should never be in the need to touch their private keys. And of course, in Africa, we have the problem that people have no smartphones. On smartphone, we have a much powerful device which can handle also cryptography, and a simple feature phone cannot handle cryptography. And so on the other side, we need to realize that a large part of the world population still has no access to these smartphones, and it will take years until everybody on the world will have a smartphone which is powerful enough to deal with cryptography. So we need some solution in between, and actually, as soon as you have a solution like we have now in Kenya, it's pretty simple. It's not rocket science, yeah, but you need to find a way how to make it really usable. And so in Africa, for example, people only dial numbers. Yeah, they don't need to type any letters or something. You only dial numbers. You have 6 numbers to get into the program, and then the only number what you type is the amount of premium what you pay, and then you confirm, and that's it. So it's super simple. But to make it so super simple, a lot of things have to happen in the background. And I think we have now found a solution, and the solution is not too complicated, and it can also be adopted for a large number of different use cases. And so this is a pretty breakthrough. And for example, if you name flight delay, I think the challenge is always to connect the traditional payment systems and payment methods with blockchain, because blockchain will not replace all banks in the near future. Maybe in the long future, people will also be able to manage their financial affairs completely without banks. But there is a long way to go, and until we are there, we still need to bridge from the traditional payment systems to blockchain. And we see a lot of interesting developments. For example, there were numerous projects which already provide credit cards which are directly linked to your blockchain account. So you have a blockchain account, you link your credit card with the blockchain account, and for example, on the blockchain account you have Ether, and then you pay in a restaurant your bill, and then your the blockchain account is credited, and this is also already there, So I'm not sure if these solutions already scale, but they are available. And for example, here in South America, these credit card solutions are already used by thousands of people, which have otherwise no access, for example, also to US dollars. So in Argentina, I learned that people can only buy $200 per month, and so it's very restricted, and the exchange rate is only 50% of the regular rate. So people have really no access to a stable currency, and with these new credit cards, they have access to stable coins. So it's really astonishing. So I think the solution will be to connect to traditional payment systems with, for example, credit cards with blockchain, and then we can also link our solutions to these bridges.
Okay, so we have a question from Mario. He asks 3 things. Like the first I put on the screen. The first is, hi, if the Etheris network is going to be used by insurance companies around the world at scale, will the gas fees paid in DIP increase?
So I think I mentioned earlier, the scaling is one of the big topics which have been discussed at Devcon here. We will move as soon as possible to layer 2 solutions where the gas costs are much lower. So zero mainnet is limited in capacity, and it's very simple economical principle. If the supply is limited, then the price will rise. And the supply of computing power of data on blockchain is absolutely limited, and so the price will rise. The only solution is to increase the supply, and increasing supply is layer 2 solutions. And so as I mentioned, we are in the very near future, we will deploy on one of the first layer 2 solutions which are available. This is Polygon ZK EVM. And on Polygon ZK EVM, the gas fees will be much lower, and because it scales. And so we can increase the supply when the demand increases. And so the price can be stable or even decrease. And so I expect that gas fees maybe currently it will take some time, but in the let's say in 2 or 3 years, gas fees will be negligible, and because then we will have these scaling solutions available, and then gas fees will no longer be an obstacle.
Okay, So let's bridge from bracket 2 to bracket 3. I think a few topics are seamless from one to the other. You mentioned Hannover Re, for example, and I think also what is very interesting for our community itself will be the staking model, the staking mechanism, risk pool, and where are we, and what can you tell us about this? I think everybody's waiting for that. Just start, and I will interrupt you with questions then.
The good news is risk pools are live in the project in Kenya. So we have a first risk pool. We have the first party who is staking stable coins in the risk pool. This is, in this case, this is the Lemonade Foundation, which plays the role of the first staker. So it's actually live and running. The code is audited, and so it's only up to us to open this to more participants and to make staking available for the DIP token holder community. And of course, in this Africa pilot, we need to be very cautious. And it's a project driven by the Limit Coalition, so we need to be careful that we do not violate any legal regulations. And so it's currently not possible to have more participants than the people and the parties in the coalition. But technically it's working, and so we can gather some experience with this, and as soon as possible we want to open up to the larger community. And one way to do this is also to build more products, because as I said, the Lemonade Crypto Climate Coalition is somehow limited, and maybe we can even open up this, but I have no timeline for this. But what we can do is to build our own products, which then would be available also for the DIP token holder community. And so because we now have a certified audited platform, we have the risk pools technically available. We are already working conceptually on our first product. It will be, of course, we have flight delay, and flight delay is also a candidate for staking. But flight delay is probably, from the volume of the risks, pretty limited, because it's not a product which can scale from the market size. But I believe products which scale very well are products which are ensuring crypto risks. And our hot candidate for crypto insurance is a Deepak Insurance, which will insure the risk of stablecoin to Deepak. So as you know, a stablecoin is linked to a stable currency, a fiat currency, US dollars typically. But there is a certain risk that the price of the stablecoin will fall. And we have seen it with Terra. So there is a risk. And stablecoins are used with billions of dollar transaction volume every day. So there are a lot of people who want to insure this risk that the stablecoin will lose in value, which should not be. Okay. And so this is called a Deepak Insurance. And a Deepak Insurance can be built on our platform with pretty limited amount of resources. And so we are currently designing this product. And also we want to involve the community on both sides of the product, so both on the consumer side, but also on the investor side. And so I expect that hopefully we can launch this product, at least in test version, in the next 1 or 2 months, and hopefully also go live by end of this year. I cannot make any promises, but this is our goal, to go live with this in the very near future.
So the timeline would be, we have a legal company looking, like checking if you are compliant to Swiss law, I think it was. Then we're going to open risk pools by then, like 1-2 months or at the end of the year. So what is your favorite product on the GIF to be open to the public, like the first really publicly open risk pool? What would that be?
Yeah, that would be the Deepak Insurance. So I think
Okay.
that would be the first candidate. And when we say we have some legal scrutiny, then we are talking about the Decentralized Insurance Foundation. And we want also to involve the Decentralized Insurance Foundation in the staking process, and there we have to solve some legal issues. For the Deepak Insurance or for the Deepak product, I think we can launch a first product with our existing legal model in Germany. So, and this is not driven by the foundation, but by the Etheris GmbH. So the legal stuff is handled by the German company. And but we want also to run this product in a pretty permissionless mode. Yeah, so the GmbH in Germany would legally only provide the framework, but it's not the company who's offering the product. But because the product is actually offered by the investors who run the risk pool. And so we try to make this a really peer-to-peer product where we provide the platform, and the community will play both the role of the consumer and also the role of the investor. And of course, we will. There will be some thoughts to be invested to make everything safe, and but I'm pretty sure that we can solve these issues and start the product, at least in a test version with a limited volume.
Okay. The GIF, the GIF monitor, and a few other things will also get an overhaul. What is the roadmap there, and where are we beginning of 2023, Q1, Q2? What is the roadmap?
Yeah, so what we have currently is a fully audited framework, including risk pools, and so we can build the first products based on this audited stuff. Of course, we have some extensions which would be very interesting. For example, we want to create risk pool tokens. Yeah, so the current risk pools are direct investments. So you put your money in a smart contract, and you will of course also receive the returns. But you cannot trade your share in this pool. Yeah, and so if you are putting money, DIP tokens or stablecoins in such a risk pool, then the capital is actually locked, and you have no way to work with this capital. And what we have in our concept is a so-called secondary risk pool. So a secondary risk pool is a layer on top of the primary risk pool, what we have currently. And the secondary risk pool would enable you to receive the risk pool tokens in return to your investment. And these risk pool tokens would be tradable. These would be standard ERC20 tokens, and so you can put your money in such a contract. The risk pool token will have a computational value, a fair price, and then you can trade these tokens. So your liquidity is no longer limited by investing in a risk pool. And this is a natural extension which we have conceptually, it's already there, but it takes some more research regarding the profit distribution. Yeah, so if you invest in such a pool, then of course you have a pro rata participation in the profits and losses of this pool. But to make this computationally safe, we need some research, and this will take some time. So I expect this for the early next year. And so this is one extension. The other extension is, of course, scaling to put the GIF on layer 2 solutions. We have also some concepts to reduce gas cost in the existing framework. For example, in the African product, the most policies are similar, yeah? And so we have already a concept to reduce gas cost massively because each farmer does not need a full policy, but he does only need to participate in a group policy. So we would reduce the gas cost by about 90% by just using this group policy concept. And so these are also concepts that we are working on. And of course, on the other side, we have usability stuff like the GIF monitor. GIF monitor needs to be multi-chain and also multi-instance. So actually all the instances in the ecosystem would be visible in one single GIF monitor, and which is public and works like a block explorer. So you can watch what's happening on chain. And this is also stuff for the near future.
Alrighty. I think we hit the 1 hour mark. From my point, all questions also community-wise are answered. If you have a topic you want to explore, or like maybe other ventures, you mentioned Deepak and you mentioned flight delay, other ventures we are exploring with Etheris.
Mm-hmm.
Is there...
sorry, please repeat the last question.
So the question is, besides Deepak Insurance, what other projects are interesting for us? What other partners are flirting with us? Is there anything you can maybe disclose for the community?
Yeah, we have, as you know, we have this grant program, which is worth mentioning. We have some applications. It's public, it's on GitHub, so everybody can see these applications. I think we have about 4 or 5 really interesting applications. We have also discussed this with Chainlink. There have been some delays in with the Chainlink process because Chainlink had some internal changes in their staff, and so the whole process of giving out the grants has been a bit delayed. But I expect that this process will continue in the near future, and then that we are able to give out these grants. And we have some really interesting projects, and from wildfire insurance for British Columbia, and we have bike insurance in Germany, and also a risk management solution, and really great stuff and great teams which are working on this. And so hopefully we can conclude the process with Chainlink as soon as when they have solved their internal issues, and then we will also onboard these projects.
Cool. Okay, Christoph, then I think you wrap it up here. 1 hour so far, exactly on the point. Thank you so much for being on the stream. Thank you so much for answering all the questions.
Yeah.
And have a great Friday, the last day of Developers Conference in Bogota, Colombia.
Yeah.
Enjoy it and have a safe flight back.
Okay, thank you all for listening. And my personal wish is that we have more of these AMA sessions in the future. Maybe we can manage to have maybe a shorter version in shorter intervals. And I think we will take care of this. And I think it's great to talk about all this stuff. And so there are a lot of other topics that what we could not cover today. And so we have a lot of stuff for the next AMAs. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.